Hello, I am Stephen Redding, and welcome to another session in the discovery of more, the more of our lives, that is. I'm sitting here today alongside of an empty stove, but I'm hoping that these words will pour some embers into your heart and heat up that inner being, which is that which we know as ourself. When we left last week, I asked you to reflect on those moments in your life when you may have been touched or seen or heard something of the unusual, the metaphysical. And also, by the way, this is the cat of the shack, and I'll put her down for a second. But and the hope was that we would begin to understand that bigger part of ourselves that surrounds our rational mind and our physicality. So to that end, I would like to liken our journey in existence as much as though we have a pebble. So here in my hand, I am holding a series of pebbles of different colors, nature, and yet they're all pebbles, which reminds us pretty much of our physical being. Allow me to take you to a quiet pond where we take this pebble and we skip it along the surface. It doesn't last very long before it falls out of sight into the depth of the water. And for some we might say, it has died or it has left our view. Well, this is much like our existence in the world in which we now journey. But believe me, friends, we are much more than this pebble. And for a very long time, the ripples upon the water will continue, as do the vibrations in our lives. In fact, it might be said that they never end. Quite amazing. So please remember that in all that we say and we do, we either add to the intentionality and the support of the life around us, or we can also be distracting and taking from that life. The difference is huge, and it has so much to do with not only the well-being of our world, but also what is next for us. So this morning I want to speak briefly about the need to find a sanctuary, a place of comfort for times of communion. And this would be a favorite place, maybe a certain room in your house, or a park, or someplace in the woods or by a stream. I think this is very critical in establishing and understanding those ripples around us. Because remember, we are not here alone, and we didn't begin at the age of our bodies. I like to ask, as much as possible, that this time and space become predictable, so that the ethers can be opened and the veils parted from time to time. When we find that place, it is so important that we quiet our mind. And it is also important that we're alone. It's very important as well that we tolerate some impatience from our mind, because at first dawn, we might not see the full benefit nor feel it. But the fact is, a process will begin, whereas old stuff of our lives, old thoughts, old fears, that have been in the way of our inner illumination and our inner sense of beauty, will start to dissipate and break down. So for the first period of time, your sessions in your sanctuary may not be totally comfortable, but you will begin to relax, and you will reflect. And this is important, to allow this process to unfold. And as we start to cleanse our living room, our inner being, more light enters in. And in time, you will come to know some of those beings who you stand in for, some of those who came before you. Let me suggest it's much like pruning the dead wood out of our lives. Here is a spring magnolia, and it's really a little sluggish. So I'm taking my pruning shears and I'm removing old dead wood, which are thoughts that no longer serve us, maybe the inertia from times going by. And what we're left with ultimately is one bloom and maybe a secondary flower. In time, this is the process. Letting go of excess wood. So that which we have is beautifully, excuse me while I fall out of your picture, because I wanted to show you the difference. Just yesterday, these were the same twig from the same tree. And I pruned off the excess and dead wood. And look at her now. And this is what we seek to achieve, to come to understand our very beautiful secret of our bloom. And the sooner we eliminate some of the excess and some of the fears, the sooner we come to flower in such a grand way. Quite amazing. So not only does it serve as a model, but this is in fact was the same bud from the same tree. And once the excess was diminished, the energy went into the bud. And such an incredible and beautiful story. I'm not going to belabor the ins and outs of the sanctuary in our time there, because there's two beautiful chapters, I think, in More or Less, which responds to what we need to do regarding awakening to our bigger self as well as seeing. But I do want to comment just briefly on our attitude. When we're in this time and place, we don't ask for anything, but we remain open to receive. But we don't deny anything either. And there may be things in your life that will percolate, which are a little disquieting and discomforting. You may even meet a phantom being that is not of the greatest qualities. In such a time, just break it off. Get up and move. And the mystical, the paranormal around you will disappear. But as soon, you won't be able to control when these will percolate into your life as you're falling asleep in your dreams, taking a quiet walk. All become opportunities for the unusual to say hello. So be bold. Don't turn from them, and respond in kind. Say hello. You are meeting more of yourself. And having said that and addressed that, we're really setting ourselves up to become connected to these other realities that surround us, these other realities to which we belong. And that may be the greatest gift of finding quiet time for ourselves, to be open to receive. Because friends, these other realities and worlds are there. We belong to them. I remind you of the distinct suffrage of the forest this year in our eastern storms. Many of those trees are broken off at the ground, but they will sprout again, because in fact, they exist in at least two realities. And so much of this work that we do in discovery is about finding and knowing our bigger and lasting self. Remember also that we don't do these things, we don't seek this to add something new to our life, but rather to rediscover what we once were and will choose to be again. Thank you so much.